Today on CityCast Chicago, how long do you think it takes to ride every single CTA line and hit every single stop? Yeah, I'm talking with delays, with shut down terminals, right? With traffic. We talking to somebody who's trying to do it in record time, no less. And we also get a personal ranking of the city's train lines, views and all. It's Monday, April 28th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. We have had a lot to say about the CTA in the past 4 years. I mean, a lot. We have complained about ghost buses and trains. We have discussed the quality of our rides, the maybe declining quality for most of us, questioning leadership, dissecting funding gaps. And we do it because at the end of the day, we want to see our public transit system deliver. We want to see things on time. Now, we can accept both of these things at once, right? Two things can be true at the same time. The CTA is a great public resource that we love. And at the same time, there's a whole lot wrong with it. And that's the kind of nuance you're going to only get in strong local journalism. We sit down with the transit reporters. We sit down with the investigative journalists. We sit down with the commuters, the people riding this mug every day. I'm on this thing multiple times a week, which is why I want to take a second before we jump in to ask you to support this work. By becoming a member at membership.citycast.fm, you can show a little bit of love to us. Because the conversation you're about to hear is almost a love letter to the L. And that's always what we're doing on this show. We writing love letters to Chicago, even when the city frustrates us. And when you become a CityCast Chicago neighbor, that's what our members are called now, you can send us your own love letters. Seriously, one of the benefits you get when you sign up is you could tell us straight up about a local business you love, a nonprofit, a mutual aid group that is doing great work in your neighborhood or across the city. And we gonna shout them out in the podcast and in the Hey Chicago newsletter. Think of them as neighborhood shout outs, right? And it's a way for this whole CityCast Chicago community to give even more shine to all of the orgs that make this city great. And if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, Kobe? Yeah, all right, that sound good. But what else I'm going to get for this chatter you asking for? Then check the other benefits, right? You're going to get access to ad-free listening. You're going to get invites to members-only events. We just did one recently. I thought it was nice. We had cake. And there's more. Become a CityCast Chicago neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We asking for $10 a month, or if you got it like that, go and throw us the hun, right? The $100 a year. And it helps us keep this show going. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. All right, I've been teasing this long enough. I'm excited to introduce our guest today. Annalee's videos recently came across my TikTok feed where she was ranking the most beautiful views that you could find across Chicago's various train lines. But she's also working on something called the L Challenge, where you ride every line and hit every stop in one day as fast as possible. Annalee, welcome to CityCast Chicago.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we jump into it, how often do you find yourself on CTA, whether it's a bus or a train?
Almost every day.
And what is the line that you most frequently ride?
I'm a red line girl through and through.
Come on. I grew up right off of the red line, off of 87th Street near the Dan Ryan. My grandparents stayed on both sides of it, one being off of 87th and Stony, one being off of 87th and Halsted. And the red line is sort of where we sometimes meet in the middle. And so I've been taking the red line throughout my life. What was it about CTA, your frequency of taking it, that made you want to start like filming content around your experience on the train?
Yeah, I moved to Chicago about 7 years ago for college, and I've been here ever since. And I was forced to take CTA. I didn't have a car until a couple months ago, but I've been completely dependent on CTA for forever. And so I thought about it for a while, I kind of want to ride all of the lines from start to finish just for fun, because why not? And so I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the year that I'm going to do that. And so I did that last year. Because that's what I like to do for fun, I guess. And I was like, you know what, let me just record this and share it out, just because I like the CTA. I know other people don't or have strong feelings either way about it. But I was like, you know what, let me just put out some good vibes around the CTA, because there's, at least that I see, a lot of negative chatter about it. I was just like, well, let me put out some good vibes about the CTA.
I completely understand. I've ridden the train thousands of times in my life. And for most of us, it is a mundane, almost weekly, everyday experience. And we often don't talk about the importance it plays in our lives as we focus on some of the more negative situations we may have found ourselves in on the train.
Yeah, and I guess I want to say a disclaimer that like I'm totally aware that people have had bad experiences on the CTA,
For
and
sure.
I'm not trying to negate that. I'm not trying to convince someone to do something that they're not comfortable with, but at the same time, at the end of the day, violence is not isolated to the CTA. It's not isolated to public transportation in general. And it's not
Hmm.
even isolated to the city of Chicago. Like, Chicago's not even the most violent city in Illinois. And so just trying to break that stigma a little bit is what I've been trying to do. But again, like if you've had a bad experience, I'm not trying to convince you to do something that you're not comfortable with.
100%. And I appreciate you for that. Uh, so last year, you decided to write every single line from start to finish. And I imagine that took you some time. And now you are trying to do it again, but even faster. Can you describe the L challenge to me?
The Chicago L Challenge is you're riding the entire CTA train system in one go, and you're only using trains, buses, or your feet to get to every single station. And it'll probably take me at least 9.5 hours.
What is the current record for the L challenge, or as best you know?
That's a little bit tricky because records depend on what stations are open. And
Hmm.
so, for example, with the new Damon Green Line station, I think like a record in this might be a pre-pandemic time, honestly, was like 8.5 hours. And
Okay.
I think that was before the Damon line, and that was before we had the red line closures. Someone DM'd me on TikTok that they just did it, and theirs took about 9.5, closer to 10 hours to do.
Okay.
And they did that a couple months ago. So that's with the Damon line, and that's with the two red line, Lawrence and Berwyn, that are currently closed.
So you're not necessarily trying to beat anything, but you're trying to get it within proximity of some other times that you've heard to this point.
Well, I'm trying to beat it because one,
Oh, okay. My,
I
my bad. My bad.
I'm gonna do the challenge twice. I'm gonna do the challenge once in the next like 2 months or so as like a dry run,
Okay.
just to kind of figure out where I need to sit to get off of the line, closest to the stairs, like really intricate stuff. Figure out where my bathroom breaks are gonna be, and then I'm in the process of applying for a Guinness World Record to do it, and I'm
Mm,
gonna do that once the red line stations open back up. So that way,
okay.
in theory, if I do it right when they open back up, I think in theory I would have like a world record regardless of my time, because I
Hmm.
would be like, in theory, one of the first people to attempt it once those stations have opened back.
Completely understand. Uh, so like I get the idea of like visiting every single line, like the views you're going to see, the neighborhoods it takes you into, the different people you're going to meet. For you, why do it? Like, why challenge yourself to do it as quickly as possible? 9.5 hours, only using the buses, only using the trains, only hoofing it. What's exciting about this challenge for you?
It feels like a good way to kind of wrap up this series-ish that I've made, and kind of wrap
Hmm.
up my journey of like writing every CTA line from end to end. I just think it would be fun. And currently, at least from the records that I've seen, it's a bit of a boys' club.
Come
And so
on.
I was like, well, let me, as a little 5'2" girl, let
Let's
me
mix
come
this
on
shit up.
top. And honestly, as chaotic as this sounds, my ultimate end goal for this is like, if it'll help me get on Survivor, which is very chaotic, but I really want to be on Survivor. And I feel
I
like,
have a friend currently on Survivor, Shaheen.
shut up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was literally just watching. I really want my application to stand out, and I think this could maybe do it. So
No, I love that. What kind of challenges do you anticipate? You've talked about delays, you've talked about bathrooms, you talked about the dry run of trying to figure out how to best position yourself at every stop along the journey. What are some of the biggest challenges you're trying to like solve for?
my biggest worry, I think, is the yellow line,
Oh,
honestly, because it just doesn't run as frequently as other lines. And I mean, if I'm waiting 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes,
I'm losing time.
and that's losing time. And so that the yellow line is going to be the second line that I do. It's going to go purple, yellow, and then red, and then go around. So yeah, I kind of need to figure out like when they're rush hour period kind of starts.
Hmm.
But I am worried about the yellow line. I was worried about the buses. I have a couple of bus transfers that I need to do, but I am comforted by the fact that CTA just revamped a few bus routes that are running every 10
Right.
minutes.
They just said they were going to do the frequent bus program.
Yes. If I remember correctly, I think two of the buses that I need are on that list. So that
Okay.
will really help me. So those two, the yellow and the buses, I'm still like, oh, hopefully it doesn't throw me off.
Another challenge I'm thinking about, bathrooms, right? We just, in our Hey Chicago newsletter and on our website, chicago.citycast.fm, we were kind of talking about public bathrooms that are available to people, libraries, sometimes at a CTA station. Right now, where are you trying to factor in your bathroom breaks?
I'm really trying to limit my bathroom break to one.
Okay.
It's probably not the healthiest thing for me to do, but I'm really gonna limit my liquid intake. I just don't think that there's like a lot of good close options for me. And if there are,
Mhm.
like, I don't want to go into like a business that would require me to buy something, and not that I'm not happy to buy something, but then that'll set me back on time.
He said,
And
I'm
so
going to race against the clock.
I'm on a race, babe. And my one friend was like, you could wear a diaper. I was like, I could.
But I do not want to have to say in every interview after, when people ask, what'd you do about the bathroom? What you mean? I took the bathroom with me.
Truly, I know some people on my TikTok were like, well, the train is a bathroom. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna piss on the train, please.
All right, you
But
bugging.
but yeah, I mean, I think my closest bathroom in theory is at the Blue Line at O'Hare.
Okay.
But that's like basically almost at the end of my journey. And so if I really need to, and if there's a good amount of space between two trains, then I guess I'll run. But I don't know, maybe I can hold my pee for like 10 hours. We'll see.
I think you'll make it through. I think you got this. So right now, as you're developing the plan, can you kind of walk me through which train lines do you think you're going to, like, what's the order of the trains? And then which buses do you think are going to be the most important for this?
All right. Our journey begins at 6 a.m. ish at Linden, the top of the Purple Line, coming back down south to Howard, going to the Yellow Line, going to Dempster and Skokie, and back to Howard.
Okay.
And then from Howard on the Red Line, taking that all the way down to 95th. From that point, travel back up north to 63rd on the Red and hop on a bus, which I think is like it's whatever bus is on Ashland right there. From Ashland and 63rd, I'm only riding that one stop to Halstead and then hopping back on that same bus in the opposite direction to the end of the Green Line to Cottage Grove, working my way back up north to Roosevelt on the Green, switching to the Orange Line, going all the way to Midway. From Midway, I hop on a bus, and I believe that bus will take me to Cicero on the Pink Line. From Cicero on the Pink, I'm going west to the end of the Pink Line to 54th and Cermak, and I'm going to Morgan on the Pink Line. At Morgan, I transferred to the Green Line and finish out the Green Line on the Harlem and Lake side and go all the way to Harlem and Lake. From Harlem and Lake, I go down south via bus. I can't remember which bus, but via bus to Harlem on the Blue Line. Go to the end of the Blue Line to Forest Park, and then circle all the way around the Blue Line all the way to O'Hare. Honestly, I think the Blue Line might be my biggest hiccup because the Forest Park branch is just so slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so slow. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but that's fine. So when I get to O'Hare, perhaps a bathroom break, but at that point I'm basically done. So I might as well just hold it. From O'Hare, I'm going down to Jefferson Park on the Blue Line. Jefferson Park or Montrose, I can't remember which one. But then I hop on a bus to the end of the Brown Line at Kimball. Take the Brown Line all the way around the loop. I hit all the loop stops and then call it a day.
Oh, my Lord. Starting with the purple, finishing with the brown line. Oh, man. Oof. And you think some of your biggest challenges will be the frequency of the yellow line and coming back from Forest Park?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's nothing to do about the fact that it's just the Blue Line is slow over there.
At that point, you're just sort of up to the mercy of that day's schedule.
I know. Maybe I'll take a nap over there. Who knows?
All right, are you ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Well, give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. Seriously, I've already given it to my mom. My partner has given it to her mom and her grandma. I've got one at my house for my damn self. Some of my favorite features are how easy it is to set up. I was able to upload all my mom's pics and a couple 30-second videos without even opening the gift box it comes in. I was able to create a shared album right on my phone that me and my siblings can all contribute to from across the country, and with the unlimited storage, we never run out of memories. So, if you're in need of a gift, look no further than Aura's industry-leading digital frame. Now, you know I didn't mention all of that just to not throw you a great Aura Mother's Day deal. For a limited time, listeners can get $35 off. Yes, $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame when they visit auraframes.com. That's AURA frames.com. Enter that promo code CityCast for your discount. Hey, make sure you support the show by mentioning us at checkout, and remember, terms and conditions apply. What's up? It's your host, Kobe, popping in to tell you about our new CityCast Chicago Neighbors program. I know you've heard us talk about membership before, and many of you are already a part of it. Thank you. I see you. We're grateful. Well, it's got a new name now. We calling it CityCast Chicago Neighbors because, one, it sounds smooth as hell. It rolls off the tongue. Try it yourself. CityCast Chicago Neighbors. Two, we've learned that people who support the podcast and newsletter are people who care deeply about this city and want to make it better just like us, right? I recently got to meet so many of you. You're the kind of people and neighbors that helps this city thrive. We're also adding benefits. CityCast Chicago Neighbors still have access to ad-free podcast listening and an exclusive weekly local events preview. But now you can also get regular events like happy hours with other CityCast Chicago neighbors, local volunteering meetups, and other members-only events where we explore and better our city together, brag on the things we love, and you get to shout out a local business or organization you love on the show and in the Hey Chicago newsletter. For $10 a month, you can become a CityCast Chicago neighbor today by going to membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. We couldn't make this show without people like you supporting it, and we're excited for you to be a part of it. Thanks. Our social media manager, Rick Homuth, is planning to go out with you, Anna Lee, during our next practice run of the challenge this spring. So if folks want to catch that, they should make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for an inside look. But before we get back to the L, I want to remind listeners again that we are in our spring membership campaign and we got some goals we trying to hit. Bottom line, we need 12 people to sign up today to stay on track. And you can help us get there at membership.citycast.fm. And if we get them 12 members today, that's going to help ensure that we keep bringing you these cool conversations that matter about Chicago for many, many episodes to come. And I didn't even want to bring this up because, the goal, we ain't really thinking about nobody like that. I ain't really trying to compete with nobody, but I am trying to beat out CityCast Salt Lake and CityCast Denver. They on our ass right now. By on our ass, I mean in front of us, right? All of the CityCast cities with membership programs are doing fantastic right now, and I'm trying to whoop them all, right? I think y'all can show up harder than them, right? You could do that by signing up at membership.citycast.fm, and don't forget about them perks. There's a mug in it for you too. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. All right, I'm gonna jump back in it with Anna Lee. We talked a little bit about the L Challenge, but since you are so dedicated to showcasing the CTA, I also had a few general transit questions for you, if you ain't mind, right? First, we've been having this conversation a lot recently about lawmakers both in Chicago and Springfield, and they're trying to figure out this forthcoming fiscal cliff facing our regional transit agencies. Recently, we done seen these doomsday presentations from RTA, CTA, Metro, and Pace of what could happen if this money isn't secured. Some of these lawmakers ain't really feeling this. Somebody was like, "Hey, y'all spending millions of dollars on these ads instead of millions of dollars on the services." Hey, the back and forth is starting to heat up. But I want to ask you, how critical do you think the L is to Chicago, and what would you say, right, if worst case scenario, what would a 40% reduction in service mean for your personal commute?
Oh, I mean, it would be absolutely detrimental. I'll have to go and look back at what the presentation is. But I mean, I feel like I already know without seeing it that it'll disproportionately affect areas of the city that already don't have as a robust CTA presence than others. And I mean, even from like a financial standpoint, with Chicago being such, such a big tourism city, like wouldn't, for like a selfish reason, the city want to be pumping money in so that you get more tourists? Because at least for me, when I go and travel places, I'm looking for places with good public transportation so that I don't have to rent a car. And so if I can save a boatload of money going to a city where I don't need to rent a car, I will.
No, I agree. And so our hope is that lawmakers figure it out. ahead of your trip, as we've talked about throughout the conversation, you've already ridden all of Chicago's lines from start to finish, and you ranked the best views. And I really enjoyed this video. I actually sent you an email from the Orange Line as I was watching the video, wanting to have this conversation. And so I wanted to think a little bit about your list, talk through your ranking. Why did things end up where they did? Put some respect on the name of some of maybe the least expected lines that top your list. And so let's start at the bottom. Which train had, not the best views?
Yellow Line, number 8 for me.
Number 8, the Yellow Line. Why yellow so low?
One, it's just so short. And so in itself, there's not a whole ton to see. And in my video, I was like, it's a little bit tree heavy. And people are like, you don't like trees? I do like trees. Let me be clear, okay? Save the trees. But the thing is that you're so close to the trees, you can't really appreciate them. You know what I mean?
100%.
So if they were a little bit further back, if you could have like a wide open view of a collection of trees, sure, but you're too close to really even appreciate it. So yellow is number 8 for me.
All right, coming in number 7. Who's next?
Red Line, love her.
I love the Red Line, but I as soon as I saw it, I was like, especially going south, I'm like, you in the middle of the damn highway the whole time when you're not underground.
Exactly. Okay, I just put out a video of my ranking of all the lines in general, and people were really mad because I did put red at number 1, and they're like, you're trolling us, this is fake, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, actually, I just like the Red Line. Sorry.
I love the Red Line. And I do think in terms of from line to line or from start to finish, which one I think covers just an amazing amount of ground.
Yeah.
The variety of neighborhoods, the variety of history. And I think if you want one that encapsulates the story of Chicago, good and bad, I think the Red Line is one that becomes like a very contemplative ride about the state of Chicago.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. Yeah. So,
but when you're talking views,
but when we're talking views, limited.
That's why it's so good for contemplation. You not looking out the window.
No, truly contemplation. I'm a regular napper on the Red Line. I love a Red Line nap. It's where I get my afternoon naps. And so, yeah, I mean, just a lot of highway, and then you're underground. And then when you're up on the north side, again, you're just too close to buildings to even really appreciate it. So sorry, Red. I do love you, though.
So yellow at 8, running from Howard to Dempster Skokie. Red Line from Howard to 95th, coming in 7th. What's next?
Purple.
This is a Purple Line train to Linden.
Right? You do catch like an occasional glimpse of a really beautiful house. And then you get on Zillow and be like, oh, dang, I can't afford that.
I'm going to be real with you, G. I didn't even know there was a Purple Line like that until I started hosting the Moth at Space up in Evanston. I had never taken it before, and thus it was not one that I rarely thought about. And when I typically look at the map, like the CTA rail map, I almost always gloss over the yellow and the purple. Like, what am I looking up there for? I ain't up there all that much.
There you go. Yeah, I only recently have been spending a little bit more time in Evanston, and there's a lot of good food up there. So check it out. Yeah,
I start paying attention probably around Loyola or even further down around like Argyle. All right, so yellow, red, purple, then
blue. I hate to say it, the blue line is my least favorite line of all of them. But for view-wise, it's in 5th for me.
Why is it your least favorite?
For a very shallow reason, in that the Forest Park branch is so slow. Like when I'm riding a train, I want to have to engage my core to be able to sit up straight when I'm riding. And that Forest Park branch, I'm like, I can walk faster than that. and it's frustrating for me as someone. I am a very fast walker.
Me too.
And my friends will really call me out on it. And I need the blue line to also be there because it's like painful. It's painful to me.
It is the longest Chicago train line at close to 27 miles and 33 total stops, 11 on the Forest Park branch, 9 in the Milwaukee Dearborn subway, and 13 on the O'Hare branch. Chicago's longest train, one of its busiest, and it is not my least favorite because I think for me, my favorites are probably ranked on their relevance. It ranks high for me just because so much of my favorite things are off of the Blue Line, especially the O'Hare branch. But I hear where you're coming from. I 100% hear where you're coming from. Okay, what's next? What is in fourth place? We're in the top four now.
Green.
Okay.
Green really surprised me. I really haven't spent a ton of time on the Green Line. It's a really nice ride. It's a really nice ride. I like it a lot. Very scenic, I feel. You go through so many different neighborhoods. You get out to the suburbs at one point. I think it's a lot more open. I mean, you really see a lot. I like the Green Line.
Yeah, I do love the Green Line. This was another one of the trains that I grew up very close by. I lived off of 66 in Greenwood at one point, and so the Green Line was not too far from me. It was the train that I most frequently took when I stayed in Hyde Park outside of like the Metro Electric. And again, one of my favorite things in Chicago is off the Green Line. And of course, that's Conservatory Central Park Drive. Getting off of the Green Line and seeing the conservatory is just one of my favorite feelings in the city. And so a big fan of the Green Line. I also think sometimes people forget that it has a presence on the South Side as well.
Mm-hmm. The Green Line is also the only train ride experience that I have personally been on where the train operator is really cracking down on the people smoking. That was thrilling to me as someone who doesn't like to be hotboxed when I'm going home, so.
Understood. All right, now we are into your top three. And I think two of the city's most slept on lines have made it into your top three. So I'm excited to see where these fall.
3, the Brown Line. She's cute.
When you said that, I made me think of Aretha Franklin talking about Taylor Swift. She was like, cute gowns. Cute gowns.
No, I love the Brown Line, I mean, any of them when you're going around the loop and when you cross the river is super exciting and thrilling,
Yeah, that Merchandise Mart view is extremely beautiful.
You pass some nice murals on some buildings and just varying degrees of like different types of like homes and apartment buildings, and you got your really new modern stuff and then your historic homes, and she's a nice one.
Yeah, I was on the Brown Line I think a couple weeks ago going up to our friends over at WTTW, and I was really looking out the window because I've been just really focused on the views of these routes more and more since I've seen your video. And I just really noticed when you're crossing over the river, the homes that have like a direct walk down to a dock into the Chicago River, I don't think I ever really paid attention and noticed how many different Chicago homes have that feature, and the envy I felt in that moment.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, that's not my tax bracket, but I wish it was.
Yeah, it was so people. I was like, oh, they don't really feature these when they talk about Chicago homes. All right, so we are in the top two. Only ones remaining are the Pink Line and the Orange Line. Who's coming in number 2?
Pink. I love the pink.
I love the Pink Line as well.
It's just amazing. I mean, for a personal reason, it connects me to a lot of my close friends who I love to see. I love Pilsen. And you get great skyline views.
No, the Pink Line has some great views. And then coming in first, the train that takes us to Chicago's other airport. I just got back from Phoenix a couple of weeks ago and got into Midway, took the Orange Line back. And when you just think about how expansive the views on the Orange Line are, how far out you can see, it's not really that hard if you've been on it to know why it made the top of your list.
Can I sidebar for a second and say, like, how lucky we are in Chicago to have train lines that take us directly to the airport? Like, what a gift.
Yeah. Since I moved into my new apartment, I've had to use the Orange Line more in the last year than I had before. And that train to Midway and back, again, you can see the parks. You can see all of the churches sort of peeking out over the homes on the Southwest side. Like you get some of those train landing views, train taking off views. You can see the full green of the parks. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that Orange Line. It's so underrated. And because it goes through the downtown, but into the Southwest side, into the second most used airport, I do think it's one that is slept on a lot. It was our producer, Michelle Navarro's childhood train line, and one that she still lives by.
Orange Line riders have a lot of pride. over their
Hmm.
trains because on my videos, they come flocking to the comments and they are proud of their orange line. Orange line and yellow line riders, they're like Skokie Swift thing. They
Hmm.
come in hot and I don't blame them.
Annalie, you've still got some time before you take the L challenge, but what do you hope people get once they sort of finish watching, whether it's your best scenery on the L or once they finally watch your finished L challenge project? What do you hope people take from it?
Save your coin and take the CTA, babe. You know what I mean? No, but in all seriousness, I think like again, not discrediting anyone's personal experience on the CTA at all, at all. Like if you don't feel safe to take it, don't take it. You know what I mean? But if you are CTA curious, just like try it out. And I'm hoping that with my videos, like I'm a 5'2" girl, and I usually ride the train alone, and I take it at night too, and I do it all
You
the
be
time.
napping on that mug.
I nap on it. I nap on it regularly. And thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't had any significant issues that would deter me from taking it long term. And so I think we have a great city, and our public transportation system is an integral part of that. And so I hope you feel inspired to hop on public transportation for wherever you need to go. And I hope you feel inspired to contact your representatives to advocate for funding and continued support. And because it's so important, and it's another big contributor on why, at least I think that Chicago can be so affordable for people who are lower income.
Hmm. And I think in a lot of ways, as much as Chicagoans, especially people who are transit advocates, fight for improvement and fight for our leaders and fight for every one of our transit boards to be held to account, I also do think there is a small part of many of Chicagoans who can't help but to take CTA for granted because we wanted to run at max efficiency. And so when things aren't moving fast enough, when things aren't being taken care enough, when things aren't being maintained, we are quick to hold it to account, to let the city know of our frustrations. And coming out of the pandemic, things definitely have not been at peak efficiency. But I do think even with all of that, we have a gem of a public transit system in front of us in terms of just how far and wide it goes, even with us wanting it to go further. And I hope more people see your videos and, bring some good content to CTA, right? It isn't all, smells of piss and put out cigarette butts. Annalie, thank you for making time for CityCast Chicago. We wish you all the luck in your forthcoming L Challenge. Please let us know when you nail down a date.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, will do.
All right, y'all know what time it is. I want to give a huge shout out to all of our new CityCast Chicago neighbors. Thank you. Huge love to Beth B, Elizabeth R, Lindsay S, Christine F, Jennifer W, Jesse L, Morgan D. They coming in even as I read them. Super special shout out to our former Hey Chicago newsletter editor and new member, Sydney Madden. Who I think put it best when she says, who else is doing this much thoughtful analysis on Chicago news, strengthening listeners and readers' relationship to the city, and putting so much heart into everything they produce? If you're trying to get like Sia and all of our other amazing neighbors, again, Beth, Elizabeth, Lindsay, Christine, Jennifer, Jesse, Morgan, you already know where to go. Membership.citycast.fm, and don't sleep on the mugs, right? Or any of them other bennies that come with supporting your favorite show in Chicago. Say it with me now. Membership.citycast.fm. Some good news. Tonight, the Logan Center for the Arts, in partnership with Brooks Permissions and the Poetry Foundation, are hosting Annie Allen by Any Art Necessary, a celebration of the 75th anniversary of Gwendolyn Brooks Pulitzer Prize for Annie Allen. This is a free event that's going to have food, music, and poetry performances from Angela Jackson, Linda Soul, Chicago's Poet Laureate Avery R. Young, and so many other phenomenal poets, y'all. RSVP is encouraged, and I'm gonna drop a link for you in the show notes. This is a can't miss event. As always, we appreciate you for listening, reading, becoming a member, for popping in and putting us on 2x speed in the background. However you listen to CityCast Chicago, I just want you to know this is one of the coolest things I ever done in my life. I can't believe I've been doing it for 4 years and 1,000 plus. And it's one of the things I am very grateful for as I go into yet another birthday this week. And so I appreciate y'all for being along for the ride. I'm gonna be here bright and early tomorrow. I'll talk to you then. Peace. And that's the train in the background.